Good afternoon. I'm Reverend James T. Golden, Chairperson of the Board of Directors of Centerstone of Florida. Thank you for joining us in our 18th annual Life Story program, historically for the first time virtually. I hope that you have enjoyed running or walking over the last week and that your heart has been warmed knowing that your participation means that someone now has the ability to receive mental health or addiction care who might not have been able to before, care that changes lives, and to know that you're helping someone's life story continue. On behalf of Centerstone Board and staff, thank you for registering or donating. This afternoon, we have a wonderful program ahead, so please continue to stay online. You won't want to miss it. Now, it is my great honor to introduce the Centerstone of Florida CEO, Melissa Larkin Skinner. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life Story. Life Story exists to spread the message that depression is common and treatable, and that suicide is preventable. Centerstone's mission is to deliver care that changes people's lives because we want everyone to live their best life. 2020 has been unusual, and that's probably an understatement for most of us. The pandemic has brought about change and challenges to our lives that we've probably never even considered would happen. Unfortunately, we've seen a rise in depression, anxiety, and suicide. And you can help. You're definitely helping by participating in Life Story. And after this, you can help by carrying the message of Life Story with you. The message that suicide is preventable. After the event, please reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. Or maybe someone that you have talked to recently. Someone you care about. A friend, a family member, a loved one, a coworker, just to say hi and ask them how they're doing. That simple act can save a life. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for running the 5K or 10K. Thank you for walking a 5K. Thank you for your donation. And most of all, thank you for carrying this message forward, that suicide is preventable. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our Life Story tribute sponsor and one of our most dedicated community partners, the Academy at Glengarry, in partnership with Sunset Auto Group. Thank you.
I returned back from Thanksgiving break my freshman year of college. I was anxious to see my sorority sisters, so I went to the student union. Instead of their smiling faces, I was met with crying and tears. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Jerry died." "What do you mean?" "She took her life the day before Thanksgiving." That was my first experience with depression and suicide. I often wondered, what could I have done? We were so close. How did I miss this? I'm here today to tell you that depression is treatable and suicide is not the only answer. That's why Sunset Automotive Group and the Academy at Glengarry are proud sponsors of the Centerstone Run, Walk, Life Story. Please consider joining us today and walk or run to raise funds for their vital services. Come on, buddy, let's go.
Hi, everybody. I want to tell you about one of our 2020 Life Story champions, a Deputy Crystal Carpenter. Definitely a hero. Deputy Carpenter responded to a call regarding a missing adult who was possibly suicidal. Pings to the missing adult's phone were initiated and Deputy Carpenter went to each ping but was unable to locate her. Despite this, Deputy Carpenter continued to do everything she could to find her. So she continued searching areas in between the pings and eventually did locate her. Unfortunately, when she found her, she was barely conscious. But because of Deputy Carpenter's persistence and compassion for a person who was endangered, she was able to get the help she needed. Deputy Carpenter definitely saved her life so that she could continue her life story. Thank you so much, Deputy Carpenter, for your perseverance and for your compassion for another human being. Deputy Ryan Cooper is a 2020 Life Story Champion. Deputy Cooper received a call from a friend who was feeling suicidal. At the same time, law enforcement was responding to the home of the person who was feeling suicidal. And Deputy Cooper happened to be off work that day. And what Deputy Cooper did is he kept his friend on the phone. He kept talking to him while he made the 40-minute drive from his own house to his friend's house. At one point, they lost connection. But Deputy Cooper didn't give up. He kept trying to call him back, kept driving to get to his friend's home. Upon arrival at the friend's home, the friend was still suicidal, and Deputy Cooper talked to the law enforcement that had responded to the location to find out how he could help. Eventually, Deputy Cooper, everyone agreed, should go to the door. And when he did, his friend opened the door and embraced him in a big hug. Because of Deputy Cooper's perseverance, his caring compassion, and his love for another human being, he saved a life that day. A life that is important. He saved someone so that they could continue their life story. Thank you so much, Deputy Cooper.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Knight, your Sarasota County Sheriff. Thank you for having me speak today on this important issue, as this is something that has historically been swept under the rug. Typically, people imagine law enforcement officers to be resilient and unemotional. Maybe years ago, that was accurate, but in my 34 years career, that has definitely changed. When you become a member of the law enforcement community, you assume a level of risk. Interacting with individuals every day and not knowing what situation you'll drive up on, creating heightened stress on the job. But what's more, it's more than we sign up for. What you don't realize when starting in this career is the impact each of those calls and those moments start to create on your body. Some will be incredible moments, reinforcing of why I chose this career, or a law enforcement officer chose a career, and others could potentially become the worst day of your life. After 10 to 15 years of enduring those type of calls, the highs and the lows, you either become immune to the feelings or it starts to take a toll on your mental health. How a person handles these emotions impacts their career, health, and overall life. When I started my career, if we arrived at a tragic situation, we'd work the scene, complete our reports, and move on to the next call. There's little discussion about how that situation impacted us, our mental health, our emotions, and certainly there were no services offered to help us through it. Law enforcement suicide became the silent killer amongst cops. In 2018, there were over 170 reported law enforcement suicides nationwide. In 2019, suicides increased to over 220. Shockingly, this surpasses the number of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. Already in 2020, the reported data predicts another increase in law enforcement suicides. This will be the 5th year in a row that law enforcement suicides have increased. Last year, 39 of the 50 states had at least one law enforcement suicide, with Florida listed as 4th. Not a ranking we need to be proud of. The recent push for additional mental health resources is a reminder that law enforcement are people who have emotions and oftentimes struggle. I often say at the Sheriff's Office, my largest commodity is the 1,000 employees that work here. In order to provide the expected level of service, we need to care for our own and those people who are providing the service to you, the public. At the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, we've implemented policies and programs to assist our employees through very difficult times. Our members receive mental health and PTSD training now. We have an employee assistance program with engaged licensed mental health professionals. And I want to thank the Florida legislative body in 2018. They passed a PTSD bill to support first responders. The overall well-being of employees in my industry of law enforcement has changed significantly over my 34 years. We appreciate what Centerstone and supporters like you for recognizing the silent killer in the law enforcement profession and sharing the message that suicide is preventable. There are various resources available to help someone in crisis before making a potentially deadly choice to end a life. It's important for us to eliminate the stigma surrounding mental illness so that more individuals look for our help. Your life is worth living and your story is worth telling.
Hey guys, what's cracking? It's your friendly neighborhood Kevin Hines, and I have to say I am very excited about Centerstone's Life Story 5K to 10K run/walk for depression and suicide prevention. You may or may not know my story, but in the year 2000, I attempted to take my life by way of jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. It was the single worst action of my life and something that the immediate sense I had after I attempted, the moment my hands left the rail of that bridge, I had what's called an instantaneous regret for my actions and the understanding that I just made the greatest mistake of my life and it was too late. I fell those 220 feet, 25 stories at 75 miles an hour in 4 seconds, but I prayed the entire way down that I would survive. I fell into those waters. I went down 70 feet beneath the water's surface, but I opened my eyes. I was alive and I was drowning. I was in fear. I was terrified. I swam to my heart's content as fast as my arms would take me. I couldn't feel my legs. Upon impact, you see, I had shattered my T12, L1, L2 lower vertebrae into shards like glass, severing my spinal cord that day by 2 millimeters. I swam to the surface using my arms. I broke the surface. I bobbed up and down in the water. I did the one thing I've had control over since kindergarten. I prayed. God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake on repeat, and I to this day believe he heard me. In the water, as I flailed to stay afloat, something began to circle beneath me. Something large and slimy and very, very alive. The first inclination I had was, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't die jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge and a shark is going to eat me. I was freaking out. I was punching this thing, but it wouldn't go away. It just circled faster and faster, keeping me afloat, keeping me buoyant above that water. I would not learn what it was until a year later, promoting a suicide prevention campaign on a show, ABC's Primetime Live, with a man named John Quinones. He does that show, What Would You Do? That's national. On that show, Primetime Live, I said I thought there was a shark beneath me in the water. People who saw the show wrote into the show after it went viral online, and one man's letter stuck out above all the rest. His name was Morgan McWard, and he wrote this letter to me through ABC News. Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet away from you when you jumped. Until this day, watching this show, no one would tell me whether you lived or died. It's haunted me until right now. By the way, Kevin, there was no shark like you mentioned on the show, but there absolutely was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. Now, my friends, you call that what you want, but I will tell you, to me, in my personal opinion, that was a miracle. That day, the Coast Guard boat arrived within minutes before I would set in hypothermia and drown, because a woman who saw me go over on the rail, at the moment she drove by, she saw me go over, called her friend in the United States Coast Guard, who happened to be manning the waters of the bridge that day. The reason the Coast Guard got to me within that timely manner before I would set in hypothermia and surely drown was because that woman made that phone call at the time in which she did. Amazing. As I got to the hospital, one of the foremost back surgeons on the West Coast was leaving for the day. He sees me, does me a solid, and opts to stay and do my surgery. He performed a 10.5-hour back surgery on me that replaced my shattered vertebrae with titanium. He saved me the ability to stand, walk, and run. Of the 39 Golden Gate Bridge jump survivors, just to put that in perspective, 99% of those who have leapt off that bridge are no longer with us. They're gone forever. They can never tell their stories, which is very sad. But of the 1% that survived, roughly 39 individuals in 83 years of that bridge being opened, 5 of us can stand, walk, and run. They actually call us the most exclusive survivors club in the world. There's a book of the same name by Ben Sherwood. I'm making a good point here, my friends. I get to be here. And getting to be here is a privilege and a gift no matter the pain you're in. So whether you've gone through a suicide attempt, whether you live with mental pain and brain pain or mental illness, whether you love someone you care about so deeply who's struggling with the same, or whether you know someone who's lost their life to suicide, remember this. Centerstone's Life Story event is something to be celebrated. It's an empowering effort to try to change the world through walking and running. It's a great partnership that they're putting together, and they're doing some awesome work to help you find healing, find hope, and find that light at the end of the tunnel you so desire and so deserve every single day. I know I'm glad to be alive. I also know I'll never again attempt to take my life so long as I shall live. I will be here tomorrow and every day after that, like it says on my shirt, because I believe that I deserve this life until its natural end, that suicide should never be the solution to my problem. It is the problem, and I'm going to fight the pain, in spite of the pain, despite of the pain, to thrive with you today. So go out at the Life Story Walk and Run. Enjoy your 5K walk or run or 10K walk or run. Fight for the cause of mental wellness. And whatever you do, keep on keeping on. Let hope help heal. And be here tomorrow and every single day after that. Sending you big shout out with love from your buddy, yours truly, your friendly neighborhood, Kevin Hines. Wishing you the very best, and I'll talk to you soon.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Lucas. I'm an event sponsor and also the co-chair of the Life Story Committee. I have been involved with Life Story events since their inception because I believe in the message that depression is treatable and suicide is not the answer. A special thanks goes out to Sheriff Knight and Kevin Hines for their messages of hope. We also want to offer a congratulations to all of today's events winners. Your awards will be mailed to you directly. The race results are available by going to the registration page, www.centerstonelifestory.org. We're grateful for the support of our 2020 sponsors and partners. Please click on their logos to learn about them and support them where possible. On behalf of Centerstone and the Life Story Committee, we want to thank everybody for your participation. Your participation will help save lives. It will help people in the community get the help that they need and continue their life stories. Please save the date for next year's Life Story event, September 25th, 2021. We hope to join you in person at Nathan Menderson Park for our 19th Life Story event. Remember, there's more to your life. There's more to your story. Thank you.